Hello, it's me, Aiden. I'm here to show you our super preliminary prototype tester, Squirrel Cage Swift, that we at Akerworks are so appreciative. You're going to help us give the initial spin, see if it works at all. When it doesn't quite work, we're looking forward to hearing your suggestions about how to make it work. So yeah, let's do a quick run through. It's going to be 2 spools. These are these flat packable bungee suspended spools. The ones I'm holding are not exactly like the ones that come in your kit. These are held together with zip ties, whereas the ones in the kit have sort of a jiggy-jaggy channel press feature. One question will be, does the bungee ever fall out of that channel? That'll be something to kind of torture test a little bit, see how that goes. So we've got those 2 spools, and we've got 3 of our simplicates in the kit. This suction cup, carbon fiber shaft, and 1 Tensi tamer. So 3 of those are needed. And then the third kind of thing, is this weird V-shaped thing. This is a piece of bent PETG tubing with some bungee cord through the middle of it. That might take a different form, but this has really been the thing we've found is beneficial to making the classic Squirrel Cage Swift a little bit more fault tolerant when you get big loops or glumpiness in the skein, technical terms. All right, that's the ingredients of the pre-tester Squirrel Cage Swift test kit. All right, so now we'll set up a Squirrel Cage Swift with a typical skein, just to kind of see the basic process, how the parts work together. Yeah, we're really looking forward to seeing how y'all work with them, and we're probably going to vary this process depending on what you all learn and recommend. So this is just a starting point. This is the starting point. You put 1 simplicate at a relatively high point on a window or any other vertical smooth surface. For these suction cups to work and work reliably, you really do need glass. Technically, this is a smooth plastic. These are film-covered windows, and you can kind of see the scratches from the micro scratches of how they were applied. It still works great on those, but perfect glass is best by far. If there were a glass door, a sliding glass door, multiple adjacent windows with mullions in between, all of those things will work. But a vertical, like a fridge door, I don't think is going to be smooth enough. They're typically textured. Again, that's something we can all experiment with, see what typical surfaces we have in our house. But we've done most of our testing on windows, and that's super reliable. So for now, reliable is where it's at. 1 simplicate, stick pointing up, press it in, hold the suction cup, and pull the stick down. And that part's critical. These things are very directional, and if you engage it the other way, where the suction cup goes in and then you pull the stick up, then when you pull down on the spool, it's just going to collapse the stick, collapse the suction cup, not work so well. The next step is not to put up another, oh, sorry, you want to put the spool on. This one has burn marks. It's kind of cool from how we singed the bungee. These are little details. You take off this Tensi tamer, put the spool on the shaft, and you're putting the Tensi tamer on just for retention, not so much for tension. So you really don't want it even touching at all if it's avoidable. And then your skein goes on. This is a really crummy skein of yarn, pretty small one, decent enough for testing. And then the trickiest part is, where do you put the lower simplicate? You don't want it to be taut. So if I've got my spool here, and I'm saying, okay, that's gonna bring it to be taut. That's probably too tight and it's not gonna work. But you'll see why in a moment. Because of this thing, you actually want something like that. So if you find the taut location and then bring it up just an inch or so, that's probably your position. So my thumb is in the middle there. And this time I'm going opposite. I put the simple Kate suction cup on the window with the stick pointing down, and then pull it up. Tensi tamer off, spool on, air compressor on apparently. That's not related. And then if I've put enough slack in the system, this should slip over easily. And it did. And so now, to judge where I want my third simple Kate, I'm looking at this out about here. That's actually a little more slack than I'm on it, but it's fine. So I want my third one to be right about here. And this one, it doesn't super duper matter what orientation. Okay, so I've got 3 simple Kates applied, 2 spools, and then this, we're calling it a skeiny guide, although Stephanie was calling it a hand proxy. That was pretty good. This is going here just to keep the skein centered and to kind of recompress it. When it tries to flop out of the way, it kind of brings it back around as it's about to go below that lower pulley. And that's the setup, except I forgot these 2 retaining Tensi tamers. But it doesn't really matter which way you put it on, again, because you're just trying to retain it, not so much get the perfect tension. And then do a test pull. If I pull on the yarn, does the system move? Is there too much resistance? Honestly, that's a little more resistance than I thought there was going to be. With a different yarn, a really fine yarn, I might want to make that a little bit slacker, so it's a little bit freer flowing. And you also want to experiment on where the yarn is coming out of your skein, whether you've got your skein inside out or you've pulled it from the wrong end. All those things are typical considerations here with any Swift, really. But yeah, now you're set up to take that free end of the yarn, take it over to your ball winder or your bobbin winder or your pancake winder, and then get busy doing the next step. So that's just going to be going like that, and even when loose bits and the tail end come off the end, it's still going to work fine. Oh, this reminded me, one detail. When you choose your location for the ball winder, it can be either perfectly in line or farther out, away from the window. We were surprised to find it actually isn't terrible if it's coming off at a pretty steep angle, but you definitely don't want it behind the spool over here. And you want it to be not in line with the yarn like this, or not too close to this shaft here. You want it to be above, out, just so it's not really getting entrained or bound up with the big loops coming off of this skein as it comes down. I could kind of show how they kind of cling if it's too much in line. There you go. That's your starting point. From there you can take all of your fanciest, most difficult, hard-fought, well-spun yarns and destroy them with this setup. We love having you a part of this. Thanks so much.